folks. Happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom for the Press podcast. My name is Jason Robertson. I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us today, folks. Jason, good to be back in studio after a wonderful wedding last weekend for our business partner, Will. But folks, 100 days of Trump in office. And Jason, you and I are both trying to contain our excitement. Normally we're dropping R words. We're angry about something. I don't know. I'm like floating on my chair right now as I think about everything Donald Trump has done to right the ship.
Oh my gosh, yeah, folks. Hopefully, going back, looks like we got some likes on the pre-recorded show. That hopefully you guys found enjoyment. It's kind of fun for Todd and I to actually do a pre-record show. That was kind of a new experience. And Will's wedding. Todd, any thoughts on Will's wedding?
I look really good in a tuxedo, Jason. I haven't worn one since prom, and that's when you rent like the $40 tux and it's baggy and it doesn't fit you, and you're just like, I don't care. But I got a fitted tux. We're rocking it on top of Lookout Mountain in this beautiful wedding here. It cost more money than I think my house is worth. It was just fantastic all around and couldn't be happier for our business partner. Beautiful bride, great ceremony. Things are looking good for him.
Yeah, it was great. My favorite part of the wedding, folks, and hopefully our audience will enjoy this. We're sitting at the table and there's this Indian woman that's a guest. She went to law school with Will and she's from India, but she grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. She was born over here and whatnot. And between jobs after law school, her husband or fiance encouraged her to go to India. And she got there and she's like, India is more dirty and disgusting than I've ever heard. And she's like, everybody used to say like, oh, people are racist if you say India's dirty. She's like, the street food, the sanitation, the bathrooms, everything was awful. And she's sending her husband all these pictures and memes and videos. And she's like, I don't know. And it's funny, I bring that up because in America, we have this view of how life is, and you don't realize how blessed you are to have been born in America and to be alive in America in the year 2025. And that's part of what we're going to talk about today. First 100 days of Donald Trump, the new golden age, borders secured, jobs are coming back. We're winning the tariff war. China's really struggling. There's some reports coming out of China. So much winning. And you know what? We can sit down here and talk about some of the things that aren't going as well or whatnot, and we'll touch on those. But oh my gosh, I'm so happy. And folks, as we get going, do us a favor. Hit the thumbs up, hit the share button, drop a comment. We already got K-Gun Girl. Like, we got to get her a t-shirt that says like, first person on the podcast. We got Paul Reese, and Paul's one of the members. Todd, we appreciate, Paul, we appreciate your support. We got Francis is here. We're getting the crowd soon. Kev will be here. We'll get Faley. Oh my God, speak of the devil. Faley said that back in the 60s. Glad to be born in America. But Faley's over. Yeah, Faley's over on Facebook though.
Yeah, we're back on Facebook, Pally. And then Tom's over on Facebook saying, I don't receive any of these. I don't know, benefits from Trump winning podcasts. Let us know, Tom, in the comments below. Jason, before we dive into this, you made a comment about, I think she was the most based guest there. You look at her, Indian girl, and people are going to make assumptions now with all the narratives, but she was as far right as you can possibly get. I think I spent most of the weekend talking to her. Will was tied up doing wedding stuff here, so we always sat at the table, kind of like the outcast. You know, we're not part of the family involvement. She was awesome. I told you the story, Jason. Another guest that I spoke to, she was a real journalist. She had gone to grad school in New York to get a journalism major. And when she found out what we did, oh, you're Will's business partners, you work at the American Tribune, a successful media company in its own right. She looked down at us, snubbed her nose. Oh, excuse me, you didn't go to grad school for journalism. I work for CNBC. And she said what we did was corrupt and shady. And Jason, you pointed this out. This is a good lesson for our entire audience. If you ever come across someone smug like this, I had never interacted with a real journalist before. Just ask them if Donald Trump called neo-Nazis and white supremacists fine people. Just get your benchmark right there. Are you a journalist or are you a shill? But it was wild. I have never run in that circle, Jason, but to sit down and talk to her and let her know how she really felt about me, it was pretty wild. Like, they actually do despise us. They look down on us. They think they're better than us. She had all the hallmarks of elitism. And she was at the wedding. I honestly don't know how she votes, but if she's at CNBC, she's a journal grad, I would guarantee she did not vote for the best president ever.
Yeah, I got to say, her fiance, I don't think they were married yet, Like, he was a pretty conservative guy, Will knew from college, and that was his wife. And I'm just thinking, this poor guy. Like, can you imagine? Like, I can't imagine like being married to a liberal who works at CNBC. Like, they'd come home and go, "Did you know Donald Trump promised a bloodbath?" And I'd be like, "No. He was talking about the automotive industry." And oh, did you know Donald Trump said inject bleach? No. He didn't say that. Do you know he called white supremacists fine people? No. Here's the video. Like, and this is one of the themes we're going to have on the show is as we get into it, like the left lives in a totally different reality. I'm living in a reality, folks. And let me know what the favorite thing President Trump has done in the first 100 days. Let us know in the comments. What's your favorite thing? I got to say, it's tough for me. Well, Todd, you go first. What's your top 3 things Donald Trump has done?
Well, hands down, it's not even close, Jason. His matter of handling the border and these illegals in the country, sealing the border within the first 30 days, I think they reported like 95% drop in crossings. All of the deportations, and again, I'm going to hedge my comment there because I want to see more deportations. I want to see everyone deported. That's where I'm at. So you talk about what could Trump do better? Yeah, keep those planes flying, keep the buses driving back down to Mexico. But deporting the worst people in society here that have no right to be here, that are harming Americans, that need to be sent back home. Donald Trump is delivering on that promise, closing the border, mass deportations. And Jason, we got a clip for later in the show here. Donald Trump promising some very, very harsh penalties for these illegal criminals that would dare raise a finger against American citizens. I'm all here for it. That is my number one success story from Donald Trump. This immigration situation got him elected, and he is making good on those promises.
I got to say, my number one, same as yours, Todd. Number one, secure the border and deport. And it's funny because I'm seeing out in the world that more and more people are coming around to just send them all home. And you see Democrats, we'll show the videos, we've talked about it. The Maryland man deserves due process. Americans are like, screw you. You came in illegally, go home. Now, there's a lot of minutia behind it, a lot of legal wranglings and all that. But I see more and more Americans, even some of your normie Dems, who are like, these folks just need to go home. And then, they're starting to get exposed to this guy who's a piece of trash. He abused his wife. He's reportedly in a gang. She filed an order of protection against him. And Democrats are screaming like, no, we need to come back. And then people find out he's from El Salvador. And guess where he is right now? El Salvador. And they're like, why on earth are you fighting to get this guy back into America? The El Salvadorian guy is back in El Salvador. Let him stay. It's crazy. Now, my second favorite thing, Todd, is what he's doing with the economy. And this started with the Republicans. Let's be clear. The Republicans starting back in the 80s with this free trade and open borders, that is just designed to benefit the elites. It's designed to let these companies build stuff in communist China with no OSHA, with no minimum wage, and they get this stuff in America so they can have bigger profit margins. Like, that sounds like a Democrat talking point, but it's the truth. Like, the Republicans sold us out. Donald Trump doing this tariffs, doing the trade war, exactly what we need to do. We need to build stuff in America. And we talk about, like on the show, Paul Reese, he's trying to get like a coffee roaster built. Paul Reese from Split Rock Coffee. Todd. SplitRockCoffee.com.
Promo code Todd10. My mother is so proud of me. I have a promo code Todd10, SplitRockCoffee.com. Subscribe and save today.
Yeah. But I got to say, like Todd, like Paul knows that it's hard to get it done in America because all the regulation, all that. Our elites are fine building the stuff in these communist countries. Donald Trump understands we need those jobs back in America. Donald Trump has unleashed energy production. I filled up my gas tank the other day. I've never seen gas so cheap. We got groceries. Our grocery bill was down. So I would say my second favorite thing he's done is the economic work. Todd, what do you think about that?
I have zero disagreement with there, Jason. You weren't ready for this graphic. I pulled something up while you were talking there. Folks, just take a look at this. Marvel at these numbers here. I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me for 1 second. Jason wants to get into the economics here. Jason, take a look at this chart. Zero Hedge posting this morning, and there it is. They write, native-born workers up 1 million jobs since Donald Trump took office. And look at that, foreign-born workers down over 400,000. Folks, that is your neighbor, your family member. That is you, maybe, finding a new job under this Trump administration. This was reason number 2 why we voted for him. We had to turn around that failing economy with super high inflation. We had sent all the jobs overseas. Your money was going overseas to buy it. Donald Trump is bringing it all back home.
And that brings me to my third thing, too. The Democrat implosion, which in the back half of the first hour, we're going to talk about the Democrat implosion. Like, they don't know how to spin these jobs. And I got to say, shout out to Doug Stiles, secure the borders. And then, where was the other comment? Kyle, I'm with you. F the Democrats. Like, I think Donald Trump is breaking their brains because things keep getting better. And should we play that CNN clip?
Let us get it. Here we go, folks. More winning from Donald Trump.
Payrolls a greater 177,000. We're expecting, as Joe pointed out, 133,000. 177,000 would be the second best of the year outside of what's in the rearview mirror.
Sorry, I thought you.
The jobs report for April hitting the wires. Non-farm payrolls a greater 177,000. We're expecting, as Joe pointed out, 133,000.
All right, pause it right there. There's the numbers for just this last month in April, adding 177,000 jobs, non-farm jobs, exceeding expectations that were already fantastic of adding 133,000 jobs. 100 days, Jason. You, as an American, are going back to work, getting a job, paying your mortgage, buying your groceries, taking care of your family. This would not have happened under a Kamala Harris regime.
Well, yeah, and I got to say, this jobs report, I'm very passionate about this. I read it. It comes out the first Friday of every month. I'll drop a Twitter thread. I'll go through the reports. And for years under the Joe Biden administration, you'd look at the report and there'd be this big headline, 130,000 jobs added. Well, then they would have revised the previous month's report that showed how much the jobs were down. And then, so there was really no gain. And then you'd look at it and it's like, wait, it's all these foreign-born workers. They added like 300,000 jobs. They were part-time jobs. They were government jobs, or they were government subsidized jobs. So like government money through USAID went into this Democrat organization, and then they were hiring people. So technically it wasn't a government job, even though it was government funded. And this jobs report, it's like, I looked at it this morning. I saw these news clips. I'm like, holy cow. And I'm looking at the report. It is blowing my mind. America, like, pull up that Zero Hedge thing again. Can you do that? Oh my God. Like, American born jobs. And this is such an important thing for everybody to understand, that many of these jobs were going to illegals. You let in 10 million and 1 million of them get jobs, and they're service industry, really low value from an economic standpoint. But this jobs report is like American citizens starting to work in warehousing. People are firing up manufacturing again. It's just, it's so incredible. Oh, maybe I'll finish playing the audio clip while you're finding that.
I think that was a shorter one here. Here's another graph from Zero Hedge, Jason. Then I think your other CNN clip you wanted, I'll get that fired up here. But take a look at this one too. You just talked about federal government jobs. Hey, everyone's getting hired. Yeah, but it turns out it's in the public sector. It's just government jobs. Federal government workers down for 4th consecutive month from a record 2.4 million in the last month of Biden's administration. So not only are you getting jobs, you're getting real jobs. And our audience, you, me, Jason, our tax dollars aren't getting wasted on these needless bureaucrats in the swamp. Again, just one more angle of the Trump winning, shrinking the size of the government, getting these useless trolls off the dole with your, again, public dollars, your tax dollars. But what a remarkable graph showing the decline in federal employees.
Well, and just to really drive this home, all those jobs you saw when the Joe Biden reports are all those green numbers going up. And it's government job after government job after government job. And I'm not just sitting here saying everybody works for the government sucks, but they are non-sustainable jobs. If that's where your job growth is, they are not producing revenue. They are being paid for by tax dollars. That is completely insane for that to be where our job growth is. And Todd, you just pointed out 4 months in a row decrease in federal. And look at that chart. Like, it went way down. What happened 4 months ago, Todd?
Let's see. Joe Biden was president. Joe Biden was hiring everybody. And we were going down the wrong path. Can you imagine this graph if Kamala Harris was in office right now? The green still going up. Everyone employed by the federal government. We have seen that happen before in history. It never ends well. But they would have done it. And half this country voted for it still.
Oh, it is truly remarkable. And do you have that longer CNN clip? This was just from this morning.
Let's fire this one up here.
Steady gains amid some economic uncertainty. I want to bring in CNN's Matt Egan, who joins me now with more. All right, what are we seeing in the numbers? What is the context here?
Yeah, Omar, we were bracing for a slowdown in the jobs market. We did not get that. We got steady hiring. This jobs market is just relentless. Let me run you through the key numbers.
Yeah, let's do it.
177,000 jobs were added in the month of April. That easily beat forecasts for 135,000. So not even close there. The unemployment rate stayed low. It stayed at 4.2%. When we look at where the jobs are right now, we're seeing solid gains in a number of places. Accommodation and food services, right? Restaurants, hotels, hospitals, healthcare, private education, all of them adding jobs. One place where we saw a loss of jobs again was the federal government as the DOGE cuts to the workforce continue. But still, when we really zoom out here, this jobs market has been solid, right? I mean, 177,000 jobs. That, when we look at the trend, look at this. We saw that March was actually significantly revised lower to 185,000 jobs added. That's down from the original report. So you can see that there really isn't all that much of a change here. And these are still very solid numbers. Now, this is a big contrast to what's shown up in the surveys, right? We've seen so much gloom and doom from consumers, small business owners, CEOs. There's
some doom and gloom from everybody but Jason. I couldn't help but notice that he didn't blame himself for the doom and gloom. The only doom and gloom right now, you have to lie about it because there's no doom and gloom. I have heard Democrat politicians. I have heard these media shills. This guy is presenting some of the best data we've seen in years under Trump's leadership, and he's trying to report it now just matter of fact, like, look at these numbers, look at these great numbers here. And he can't be excited about them because he can't give Trump any credit. All of the doom and gloom is not coming from small businesses, individuals. It's coming from the Democrat establishment that wants you to be fear-mongered, hyperventilate, freaking out. You got to be worried about Donald Trump. That's where the doom and gloom is all coming from. If I observe the gas is expensive, that's not doom and gloom. That's me pointing a finger at the Biden administration saying, knock this off. You guys are doing this on purpose.
Oh, my gosh. I got to say, this is CNN, folks. CNN hates Donald Trump. They would do everything in their power to report these numbers like as negatively as you can. This report was so good. It was funny when I was reading through it. I'm like, I wonder how on earth they are going to try to spin this to make this seem like it's a bad thing. I didn't know how they can get there. And the back half of these or the back half of this is even more incredible.
All of these concerns about the economy, about the trade war. One thing I would note as we look at the market reaction, futures were up ahead of this. They remain up. One thing I would just stress is that this does not mean that the economy is out of the woods, right? It does not take off the risk of a recession, right? Because there is the risk that there's a demand shock, there's a hit to the jobs market that just isn't visible yet in the data, right? That it's something that we could be seeing more in May and in June. I talked to RSM economist Joe Bruce Willis, and he told me, look, in some ways, this could be kind of like the last call for the economy, right? Kind of like on a Saturday night, this is the last song. Enjoy it while it lasts because there are all of these risks ahead. So I think the big question is this the calm before the storm? Or is it the calm before the calm? And I think we're only going to get that answer in the next few weeks and months. And
All right. Again, CNN has to frame it up. This is good, but it's going to get bad later on. Is this the calm before the calm? No one has ever said that phrase in my lifetime before. They're just making stuff up now. Okay, it's good, folks, but don't get too excited because it's all going to come crashing down because tariffs are really scary. You need to be really worried about the tariffs. Never mind the fact, Jason, that Donald Trump, if this plays out correctly, will use tariffs to fund the government, and you and I are going to get a tax break on our income taxes. These guys don't want to talk about that either, though.
Yeah, Donald Trump, and we got to talk about that Chip Roy thing. I got to hop into a couple comments. Hey, we got Kev here. Kev's early. Bannon must have ended early or something. Kev's here. We had Francis here. K-Gun Girl. Folks, if you aren't following us on Rumble, go over to Rumble, the American Tribune. That's where we stream live on Fridays. We're trying to build a community over there. We love having you all over there. Super fun group of guys and girls that are chatting over there. And then I got to talk about Truth Be Told, because these are the miserable Democrat people are talking. Todd, you were going to call that one out too. You want to read it?
I was going to call it out too. I had it queued up. Go for it, Jason. We'll both comment on Truth Be Told. I hope you're still watching Truth Be Told. Get ready for a lesson.
Truth Be Told over on Facebook. What happened to all the outrage when Republicans were pissed at Dems for not standing to clap when Trump used a cancer survivor kid as a prop? He didn't use him as a prop. He brought him to the State of the freaking Union address, and it was an amazing moment, and Dems wouldn't clap. That kid, like, his videos have been going wild. It's awesome. But then here's where Truth Be Told needs to change their Facebook handle. You all are pretty effing quiet after he deported that 4-year-old cancer patient, you fake Christians. I'm going to say, truth be told, you, I doubt, are a Christian. You don't get to come here and lecture any of us on Christians. We go to church. We help our neighbors. We are good Christians. I'm betting you're some atheist who's never gone to church. Second, the 4-year-old was not deported. The mother was deported. She was here illegally. She had criminal issues in her background, and they sent her home. They said, do you want your child, who is an American citizen, to stay here, or do you want them to go with you? She said, they want them to go with me. And the American government, taxpayers, paid for their kids and family to go with her home. Now, how does the fake news report it to you? See, because if Donald Trump left that kid here, the headline would have been Donald Trump separating families. Can you believe he separated families? And if Donald Trump uses our tax dollars to send them home with their mom who's being deported, suddenly you're crying like, oh, he deported a thing. And you know what? Truth be told, we don't want the illegal criminal in America. They go home. They go back to their home country. It is crazy. Sorry, Todd. I'm a little fired up.
I was going to make the exact same points. They will weaponize Christianity against you, even though they do not believe in a word of the Bible. They are not believers themselves, but they will use your religion against you to try to make a point, a bad point about that. Yes, Dems, you should have been clapping for DJ, a black kid, by the way. Like, not only did you have a cancer survivor, you had a black kid, and all Black Lives Matter, except when they're young child cancer survivors that are brought to the State of the Union by Donald Trump. But here's the difference. That was an American kid celebrated for battling brain cancer and defeating it. And you have an illegal family here with a choice. Mom, do you want to go home? Because regardless of your kid's medical conditions, you are now going home. Do you want your kid to stay here with a family member, or do you want to bring them with you to your home? Mom chose to bring the child with her. That was a mom decision. We did not deport a child. We deported the mother. The mother, as it turns out, you know what, Jason, this is actually a great argument for ending birthright citizenship. You know how this wouldn't have been an issue? If Trump rightfully eliminates birthright citizenship. Mom came here illegally, knowing she was committing a crime, knowing she could be deported at any moment, but then she dropped a kid on U.S. soil because then she thought she had a free ticket to avoid the rest of the deportation process. Mom chose to bring the kid home. End of discussion here. Jason, I actually have a clip of Tom Homan addressing this very issue. Wasn't planning on playing it here, but Homan lays out the case so perfectly here in this short soundbite. So, truth be told, I hope you're watching still. Here, let's further your education.
Oh, hey, we got Bubba here, too, over on the Rumble. Thanks for doing, Bubba.
Hey, Bubba, thanks for watching. All right, I was all fired up. I had it all figured out, and we only get 10 videos at once. Here we go.
Giddy up.
Remove children were their mothers who requested the children depart with them. This was a parental decision. Parenting 101. The mothers made that choice. And I tell you what, if we didn't do it, the story today would be Trump administration separating families again. No, we're keeping families together. If you enter this country legally, it's a crime. If you remain in this country legally and you ignore a judge's order about deporting, if you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position. Well,
you know what's amazing, Jason? I hadn't necessarily listened to all this clip. You and I said exactly what Tom Homan is saying. This is not a hard concept if you just use common sense and apply the same rules everywhere around. Tom Homan, I guess he's going to repeat what you said, Jason, because you and I are apparently that spot on this issue. But yeah, it was mom's decision. She came into the country illegally, chose to have a kid in this country. Again, she thought she'd get a free pass. Like, I got a U.S. citizen kid. You can't deport me. Oh, no, he has cancer. So the media is going to select the one example of the most gut-wrenching, heartstring-pulling story. He deported a cancer kid. That's how evil Donald Trump is. Truth be told, I'm sure Truth is gone at this point. I would love to hear a response. Let us know how we're wrong, Truth, and good luck with that.
Truth ran away because liberals, like, anytime you actually show them facts, they're just like, I'm out.
As Kev says, Tom said the whole family would go home together.
Their mothers who requested the children depart with them. This was a parental decision. Parenting 101. The mothers made that choice. And I tell you what, if we didn't do it, the story today would be Trump administration separating families again. No, we're keeping families together. So when a parent says, I want my 2-year-old baby to go with me, we made that happen. They weren't deported. We don't deport U.S. citizens. The parents made that decision, not the United States government. But I don't hear any questions about Laken Riley had a mother. She's never going to see her child again.
Oh, I got to say, I love Tom Homan. And from this administration President Trump has built, that should be another poll question we ask, like, who's your favorite member of the administration? For me, it's a toss-up, Tom Homan and Stephen Miller. Like, Todd does a lot of video clips. We share them on our social media accounts. Like, Stephen Miller is so good. But it's hard not to love Tom Homan. Don't you just want to have a beer with him? Like, have him over to the barbecue. Like, let's talk about deporting illegals.
Yeah, I mean, I love the entire mindset. When it comes to border specifically, they're all good in place. Pam Bondi, if we could talk about Pam Bondi in another show. We could talk about Kristi Noem, who does the photo ops and doesn't really do a whole lot otherwise, it looks like. But Tom Homan's boots on the ground, no F's about him. Stephen Miller, 0 F's about him. He's going to call every illegal a terrorist. So he has gone right from they're in this country illegally to they're all criminals, they're terrorists, they need to be sent home because this is war, it's an invasion. I love this so much. I keep saying, Jason, too, it almost took the bullet to, I think, wake up Trump once and for all. The lawfare was an inconvenience. He was going to plow through no matter what. But when they tried to kill him, allegedly, he was just like, I don't care anymore. I am just going to do what's right. I'm not going to play nice. There's no compromising with these communists here. And he brings in a Homan, he brings in a Miller. And you wonder why the border is going so well. It's because you have Homan and Miller directing those initiatives. These guys are 100% involved in getting that border secure, getting these people out of there. They're just as committed. They could not be more committed to the idea of cleaning up the streets here. And I voted for all this. I voted for every single one of these deportations.
Oh my gosh. It's funny you say that because I just walk around like today underneath my shirt. I've got my Ultra MAGA shirt on and like, oh yeah, I voted for all of this. Like, I got to say, and like Todd and I do some podcasting during the week. We hang out Fridays together with all you guys. It's hard because I am just so excited every day. Like, I look at the news and look, more illegals going out, more court cases. Like, and you hit the nail on the head. President Trump is like, screw this. I've had enough. And now you got Democrats screaming out due process. And where's the due process? Like, you locked up, you tried to bankrupt Donald Trump, lock him up with 4 different felonies. Anybody associated with the Trump campaign got locked up, got charges against them. If you were a lawyer, you got your law license taken away. And you guys are going to pick the hill to die on a criminal gang member, illegal alien, who, by the way, is back in his home country. We didn't send him off to Honduras or Albania or somewhere. We sent the El Salvadorian back to El Salvador, and you're crying. Give me a break.
Yeah, the Dems will believe anything at this point. Jason, do you want to transition over to a little Kamala Harris? So, folks, things are going great. I have 0 complaints, big picture overall. Can I quibble about 1 or 2 things Trump has done? Absolutely. We always can. No person is perfect. But we narrowly avoided a Kamala Harris presidency, and she just returned. If you listen to the whole speech, she says, it's just a coincidence that I am speaking on Trump's 100th day in office. Yeah, I'm sure it's just a coincidence that you chose your first public speech on day 100. But Kamala Harris, man, she is just a miserable person. She wants you to be miserable too. I got 2 clips for you today here. Let us fire off with this one first.
I said America has never fully lived up to these ideals, that for all the gains we've made, the American dream has for decades been slipping further out of reach for so many, and that the American people deserve leaders who make their lives better.
All right, pause right there. Jason and I introduced the show on how your life is measurably and objectively better. You now have a job. Things are getting less expensive. There's peace around the world. Your communities are safer. I can point out specific examples of how I do have a leader that's making my life better. Kamala Harris over here, though, droll, miserable, angry, seething. She wants you to feel that way too. You're not allowed to be happy. Can't celebrate the jobs report. Can't celebrate the closed border here. Can't celebrate all the Trump victories that Kamala Harris created, by the way. As the title in our video says, we posted this on Facebook. This is the woman that championed wide open borders, and she is telling you that the man who closed them and secured them is making your life worse. You can't make this up.
And I want to make a point too, as we're getting into this, because Kamala started with something important, and I think it's important to understand with leftists. And I'll challenge the audience. And this is kind of a thought I heard Charlie Kirk express really well. He was talking on campus about Black people in America, and he's like, where else in the world is it better to be a Black person than in America in the year 2025? Where else is it better? Where else in the history of mankind is it better to be a Black person than in America in 2025? And the leftist he was asking was like, well, no, but racism, institutional this. And he's like, no. Like, I'm not arguing that. Like, where have they had it better? And I would extend that argument to what country in the history of mankind has had more health, prosperity, just like right now, everybody watching this podcast can hit a button on their phone and a Dairy Queen Blizzard shows up at your front door while you're watching the internet, while you're watching this podcast. And food is available. We're going to show in the Rumble only section. This one lady thought it was fun to go back to Africa, and then she realized like the world isn't like America. But where else in the world would you rather be living right now than America? And there's some things other countries do better. America has problems to fix. But fundamentally on the left, they look at America as this like flawed, failed experiment rather than the peak virtue of any country in the history of mankind. And like Todd and I, we run a business together, and we battle in that business, and it is like the greatest work we've ever done. Like, it's rewarding, it's economically rewarding. We're doing well, and things suck sometimes. And never once do we wake up and not just think, my God, I am so glad we chose to start our own business and do this. There's not one day that goes that I wake up and go, I really wish I would have been born in Portugal in the 1800s. And America is the greatest ever. Leftists will never accept it, which is why they want open borders. They don't understand how blessed they are to be born in America.
Yeah, Kev makes an interesting point here. It's a mistake for the right to give her so much coverage. Doesn't bring anything. Fox won't stop showing her all effing day. I get that. We're making a point more about leftism in general. There is something to be said, though. Donald Trump would get so much negative coverage on TV, and it actually worked out in his benefit. I mean, honestly, at this point, though, if you're going to be persuaded to vote for Kamala Harris or any Democrat in 2028 because you saw her more on TV, I think there are larger problems to worry about. Leftists, these Democrat voters, they need to get over the fact that people are individuals. People are all different. They are motivated by jealousy, pure and simple. I see somebody with more than me in America. I'm ignoring the context, like Jason said, of the rest of the world where everybody else is poor. So I'm in America. I have it really good, but comparatively to other Americans, someone's more wealthy, and I would be just as wealthy if it weren't for some oppressive system, racism, sexism, misogyny, whatever the case may be. So these people are miserable, they're jealous, and the only solution is they're going to steal from you. They are motivated by misery and anger and jealousy. That is it.
Yeah, and that's why they're such unhappy people. Oh, let's finish hearing from Kamala.
Sorry, audience.
And make our country stronger. But sadly, we have seen quite the opposite over these past few months.
Just that anger in her. And again, where is it coming from? If you look at this objectively from 30,000 feet, your border is secure. We did polls, I think, 2 weeks ago from CNN that even Democrat voters are like, yeah, I'm okay with the border getting secured and deporting some of these illegals that are violent and probably don't need to be here. They're looking at the economy. Everyone knows when they fill up their tank of gas how much a gallon costs. Where we live, Jason, in Minnesota, it is down, I think, 50, 70 cents since when Trump took office. That is a win that makes everything cheaper because our entire supply chain now is paying less for fuel. I'm seeing war wind down in the Middle East and Eastern Europe. That will happen as well. I'm trying to figure out where life got worse for you living under Donald Trump. If you didn't have a television set, you would say life is really good right now. The only reason people are miserable is because they're watching and listening to this garbage right here. But her anger, Jason, is just, it is incredible. I go back and forth. Are they actors? Do they really believe this here? I think she probably does believe it because she's that stupid and that brainwashed by her own propaganda she spews. But
well, and I got to say, this is funny.
I'm not getting angry about Donald Trump's America right now. I just cannot.
Just to put it in perspective, so I just got an Apple News notification, and it says the fallout from big tariffs that take effect this week and the Signalgate chaos continues. That was the headline. And I mean, what world are these people living in with all the amazing things happening in America? This is what they're going to talk about? Like, it is unbelievable. I hope they continue doing it. Well, oh my gosh, we got Didi in the house too. Giddy up. And I got to say, I'm going to give Kev grief. He said Fox News won't stop showing her all effing day. Last week it was Fox talking about poor Dems. Kev, what are you doing still watching Fox? Come on, bro. Like, we talked to you. Like, Fox News. I mean, there's some funny bits. Like, did you see the Waters interview with the Doge team?
Yeah, Waters is good. Gutfeld has always been good. But Waters is really coming around. He's stepping up to prime time. He does some good clips.
Yeah, I'll watch a little bit of the Five or a little Waters or whatnot. Do we go to the other Kamala clip?
I will. I got to say this about Signalgate. Do you remember when a former presidential candidate and Secretary of State had an email server, an illegal private email server, and deleted tens of thousands of emails and bleached the drive? I am trying to figure out what's more, is it Signal app with one journalist on there that, by the way, should be charged with treason for not speaking up earlier? He had access to information he didn't deserve to have and stayed quiet the entire time. Or would it be Hillary Clinton with her private email server? I don't know, Jason. Which one is a larger scandal? I'm at a loss for words figuring this out.
I got to say, because this just came out yesterday about Mike Waltz. And I got to say, I'm going to give credit to Trump, the golden age. Donald Trump handled this masterfully, chef's kiss. So for those who don't know, all this noise about Signalgate, the entire government communicates on Signal. Like, if you're going to start locking up people for communicating on Signal, lock up everybody in Washington, D.C., which I would be open to. All of them. Like, you're in the House, you're in the Senate, you go to jail. Like, I'd be okay with that. But Signal's widely used. Nothing that's been released is any top secret nuclear codes. I mean, they're like play-by-play of attacks that were going on, and there were no negative consequences. I've said from the beginning, we covered on this show, I covered on the Wayne Dupree podcast during the week, where the person who added Goldberg, the Atlantic journalist, to the Signal chat, they are the only person who should be held accountable. Reports are that guy's name was Alex Wong, who worked for Mike Waltz, who was Trump's national security advisor. And when it came out, like, any attacks on Hegseth are crap. They're just looking for an excuse to get rid of him. Any attacks on, and like, nobody's going after Rubio or anybody else who's on that chat or JD Vance. They want Hegseth gone because he's actually like fixing our military. And we didn't even talk about that. Like, my God, the military, the recruiting numbers.
So many victories.
Yeah. But anyway, so it turns out that Alex Wong, who was hired by Mike Walls, was the guy that added Goldberg, reports are. And it's like, how's Trump going to deal with it? And then Donald Trump came out, and then the news broke yesterday morning, like, oh, Walls is out. Trump got rid of him. Donald Trump didn't fire him. Donald Trump sent him to the UN. And I think back to my corporate days when you had a crappy manager who screwed up or you didn't like, you had that job you sent them to. You know, if you're running a big warehouse and you end up on like garbage duty or some crappy job, you probably had it in the teachers like, hey, you know, you're going to go teach this class, like the class nobody wants. When I saw that Trump reassigned Walls to the United Nations, I'm like, this is brilliant. He didn't fire Walls. There's some drama and chaos. No, Walls is going to the UN, which all the leftists love the UN. Let him go be miserable at the UN. Todd, what did you think of that move?
Well, it's perfect because, again, he's controlling the narratives. Oh, he fired one of his guys. There's chaos in his administration and his cabinet here. Nope, the left doesn't get to run with that headline. He got reassigned, and to your point, it's the UN. These guys love the globalists. But it's also, nope, he's still in the administration. So the story is dead. There's no more headlines. There's no more waves. They got busted for lying about it. They said, Mike Walls is out. Trump's going to fire Mike Walls because Mike Walls did this and that. Nope, they don't get any of that now. So it was perfectly done. Trump doesn't have to deal with it anymore. The UN is useless. Trump's not going to listen to anything they do, but he still has a job over there. He'll keep busy. But again, they don't get the headline. All of it was perfect from beginning to end.
Yeah. And I'm curious, who are you thinking for national security advisor, Todd?
I know who you want, Jason. I'm not big on that part here. I have less skin in the game when it comes to the NSA, but I know you have a guy in mind.
General Michael Flynn. I just think that would be spectacular. And here's the thing, who don't know the General Michael Flynn story. He got put into the national security advisor role. The FBI came and talked to him, just an off the cuff conversation in his office. And all of a sudden, Mike Pence turns on him. They get Trump to kick him out. They tried to convict him. The guy lost his house. Eventually, he was exonerated from all the charges. And the government had to like reimburse him for illegal targeting. Nobody is going to hate the deep state more than Michael Flynn. Now, some on the right say there's concerns with Flynn, and especially the Q crowd isn't a real big fan. But here's my thing. Like, Flynn knows where the bodies are buried. There are concerns you could have about Flynn. But I know after what they put him through, there are very few humans on earth that are going to hate the military industrial intelligence community and want to dismantle it more than General Michael Flynn. That's why I think he would be the perfect fit. I would love it.
No argument for me whatsoever. And yeah, just to touch on this, we haven't talked about this lately. The Q crowd doesn't like him. People are like, oh, Trump's part of the play as well. Like, if that's the case, then it doesn't matter anyways what we're arguing about. If they're all in on the game, this is immaterial. So I'm just going to choose to believe that, yes, there are people actually fighting on our side. And Flynn, on paper, sounds like the perfect choice. I'm with you, Jason.
I love it.
All right,
Todd, where do we go next?
I think we got a little more Kamala misery if we want to subject ourselves to it. Otherwise, got one more Kamala clip, a little more lighthearted, because she draws. I think this is the clip where she draws inspiration from a zoo animal.
Yeah, let's do that one. That's awesome.
It's kind of dark in here, but I'm asking for a show of hands. Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? Google it if you've not seen it. So that scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well,
I'm shaking my head. I can't. It's the cackling. This is what she's drawing inspiration from. A second ago, she was just like, America is going to be ruined forever. But it's okay. I can laugh about this stupid elephant that I saw. Everything about her, I hate. I just hate it. I hate that people voted for this.
I got to say, one of the things I learned early on in my retail career is when you're hiring people for leadership positions, especially unless it was a very technical position, you would just observe who sits next to them and who they sit next to in the break room. Like, are you the guy that walks in, can sit next to anybody, have a conversation? Are they the person at a barbecue who's going to be like engaging or gregarious? Or are they going to be total full on ick? And are they going to be somebody that like you wouldn't want to? Can you imagine Kamala Harris at your barbecue? Can you imagine having a conversation with her? Can you imagine at any point you would want any sort of social engagement with her? No. And she has no skills. She has no track record of ever building anything. Because you can even make the argument like, okay. I don't need to like him. I just need him to be president. But like she's done nothing to show that she can be president. She's never had any success in life. She hasn't built anything. She didn't create her own law firm or anything. She's been a government worker. She's been a prosecutor. So no personality, no skills. What's that?
I thought you were going to say prostitute for a second. You went with prosecutor instead.
Prosecutor. Oh yeah. Do we want to talk about Montel Williams and her and?
Probably not here. We like Facebook.
Yeah. But now we do got to say the Democrats had their perfect answer for who could make Kamala Harris more tolerable to white men. Do we go to that clip?
I think we do. And for the record, we always called Tim Walz a DEI hire. This party will slam white dudes all day long, but Kamala Harris knew, the Democrats knew, we have to win the white vote because Donald Trump's going to get the majority of that. So we got to nominate a white guy for vice president. And then Tim Walz admits that out loud too. Yes, I was a DEI hire for white beta male simps.
You know, to improve people's lives. But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, you know, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this. And you look across those swing states, with the exception of Minnesota, we didn't get enough of those votes.
Well, Nothing says strong male. They always have to bring race into it, but nothing says strong male like Tim Walz. Like, take away race for a second. No one's inspired by him looking frumpy, out of shape, slovenly, horrible ideas. There's nothing inspiring if you are an actual red-blooded man in America. It is hilarious that that's actually what Democrats think will win over the white vote, though. Hey, guys, you know how we can win men's votes? Let's put Tim Walz on the ticket.
I was going to say, like, first, I love when the Democrats say the quiet part out loud, because when we were saying they had to bring on a white guy so that they could, you know, because they have this intersectional whatever thing, like people's, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Tim Walz admits it. Like, he was picked for racial reasons because that's how Democrats pick people. Second thing, like, imagine sitting down with Tim Walz and think, you know what's really going to connect with the white guy, you know, fixing his truck, the guy drinking, you know, cheap beer and has his hat on backwards and is, you know, getting ready for the NASCAR race. You know what? I like me that Tim Walz. Are you kidding me? Like, what was your group of people you interacted with that thought Tim Walz is going to connect with a working class, hardworking plumber, roofer? I can't even imagine.
Well, and this points to a larger problem. Tim Walz is out there thinking he's some godsend to white men. Yeah, I'll inspire all of these people that want limited government and want to have rights and want to be left alone and don't want to pay taxes. And I just want to go to work during the pandemic. Yeah, that'll really get them. But the larger problem is this just doesn't exist. Let's just say, white male in the Democrat circles, I don't care who they would have picked. That doesn't appeal to us because they're a communist, because they're this philosophy. They want to ruin your life with big government, more taxes, less freedoms. I don't care who they would have picked. None of that is speaking to me because I do not relate to that ideology whatsoever, and I will reject it every time. Yeah, you can code talk to white guys. Tim, we're looking past your race and your sex. We're looking at your horrible policies. We have lived in Minnesota under 2 terms of his tyranny. I don't want that.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too, because what you need to understand, taking the Kamala message, taking the Tim message, there is a concept called race communism. And what race communism is essentially oversimplification. But it is getting every racial group to claim to want to assimilate with one another and get along with each other. But any inequity or variation of outcome between one racial group and another, or one ethnic group and another, one sexual orientation and another, they highlight those discrepancies and say, see, the system's broken because black, white, women, men, gay, straight, transsexuals are having less positive results in this system than the others. So this is an old communist tactic where how they gain foothold is they get people convinced that it's, like we talk about the black community, like they've convinced the black community that the system is institutionally racist, and the only way to fix that is to disassemble the system. And that's why all their messaging has to be geared around black, white, Asian, whatever it is. And it's just race communism.
Yeah, and I just got to chime in the comments section. We got Maggie O'Leary over on Facebook, effeminate guy. That's bare minimum effeminate. And then also, his wife reminds me of Canada's Carney's wife with the elbows up. Yeah, Maggie, you've been popping over in the comments. We got to get you on our Rumble channel. Download the green app with the play button. Head over to rumble.com, search out the American Tribune. Sounds like you would fit in perfectly with our growing community over there.
Yeah. We got a lot of people. We love broadcasting on Facebook because we have big pages. We have a lot of people. There's a lot of like-minded folks. And the reason we do Rumble is Facebook really censors what you can say. So the last half hour, we broadcast for an hour and a half, sometimes a little longer. But we get on the Rumble only part because there's stuff we want to talk about that we can't talk about on Facebook, YouTube, some of these other platforms, because they'll hit the unpublished button on our pages. So, there you go. No. Maggie's getting ready.
Maggie, yes, you are on Rumble. The webpage name is The American Tribune. That's where you can find us all, The American Tribune.
And when you get over there, make sure you give Kevin a hard time for us and K-Gun Girl. They were helping us. We got Wayne a robot dog this week, and we were working on the naming process. I think we went with Bex, although Becky never joins us on Friday. Someday we got to get Becky over here.
We'll find her.
Todd, we're getting near the end of the first hour. What do we need to do? We do the response that Jennings had.
I think we got to go to Scott Jennings next here. Continuing the utter humiliation of Tim Walz. Here we go.
Guy code, maybe, as you think you are. I mean, everything about this guy, from the choice, which was made, I think Shermichael's correct, which was made out of weakness all through his campaign appearances. And now in the aftermath, I just don't think there's ever been anybody in recent political history in over their head more than Tim Walz.
And did you meet Dan Quayle?
It is amazing to me. It is amazing to me. Well, he served a term, did he not?
I got to jump in one thing. Did you ever meet Dan Quayle? How many years ago was Dan Quayle even relevant?
Who understands that reference anymore? Does she even understand the reference? She was probably told one time Dan Quayle was a bad candidate, and that's it. That's all she knows. Does she know why we make fun of Dan Quayle even?
Potato. I don't know.
And then lost a second.
It is amazing to me that Democrats elevated this guy and that he continues to believe that he is going to be a leader of this party in 2028. The problems that the Democrats have with middle America, white men, working class.
Is that Gretchen Whitmer from Fox? This is neither here nor there. I'm getting vibes. She's not looking good. Okay,
man,
it's awful.
If this is the road we're going down, the code talker Tim Walz are only going to get worse for Democrats.
There's also something.
There's talk Scott Jennings is. I was going to say there's talk that Scott Jennings is going to be running for office. I would enjoy to see it because I think it would be awesome. Yeah, and Kev did clarify that was Gretchen Carlson, and she was one that sued him. Somehow she's back.
Because for some reason Roger Ailes wanted that. This whole code talking thing, though, like, this is how they think, though. He just said it out loud. We view the entire world through race. You are nothing more than a voting block, like a big behemoth. You're not an individual. You're not Todd. You are just white male. Tim Walz is never going to speak to you, the individual voter, Jason, Todd, our audience. He will speak to the entire aggregate of you're white, so you need to think this way. It's such an evil, insidious concept. It takes away all humanity, all individuality. And I always go back to the fact that half the country is okay with that. We just want to view, even though we're not supposed to see race, we're supposed to treat people as individuals. I get told that all the time. At the same time, I'm supposed to view them as just one behemoth. You're black, you're white, and I know everything about you because of that.
It's the race communism that just drives me bananas.
Yeah.
One of my favorite politicians, somebody I hope runs for president, Byron Donalds. I just love listening to Byron talk. I love his policies. I love his ideas. He came from the private sector. Love everything about Byron Donalds. And Byron Donalds is a extremely large black man. And it has nothing to do with race for what, the reason why I like him. Tim Walz, like Todd said, other than he's an effeminate, fluffy male, he has the worst policies, worst ideas ever. It's insane. It's insane, Todd.
All right, Maggie. I'm going to say it one more time. No, just kidding. Let us know if you have questions. The American Tribune. You can go to Rumble, search out the American Tribune. And then if you've got time, we've got over a year and a half's worth of podcast. Go on a road trip, plug in your headphones, and just go wild on the American Tribune.
Yeah, and Todd has the American Tribune Live. He does his own show a couple days a week, too.
Yeah, we got spicy on Tuesday, Jason. I made the argument that immigrants shouldn't be allowed to vote or serve in Congress. So it got a little out of control. My mom and my dad listened because they were driving back to Minnesota from Florida. And my mom was just texting throughout the show like, is this how you really feel? Are you really going to say that? Boy, that was really aggressive. I'm like, Mom, I'm only allowed to say certain things on Rumble. I can't even voice my real opinions here. But that was the title of the show, the premise of the show. I had a good time with that one.
Yeah, and that's probably a Rumble only talk, but I gotta say, yeah, these illegals that come in, or they even legals, which overall I love legal immigrants. Some of these guys just don't even understand like America. Like, I don't even get it. It's crazy. They're like, I'm a district court judge. I can overrule the president. What? Like, who made you think
we had a judge that was naturalized 4 months ago? So make this make sense, folks. Joe Biden was able to seat a federal judge, and he wasn't even an American citizen. And then he becomes a citizen, and now he's the one that's deciding that Trump can't deport illegals. Like, this is where we are.
It's funny. I was tweeting the other day when Trump dropped his 2028 hat, and I said, Donald Trump is going to run for federal judge in 2028 because that's where the real power is. Hey, Maggie made it over there. Giddy up.
Yeah, I'm on board, Maggie. All right, we got to finish out. I did promise a Trump clip here. We'll save Jasmine Crockett for Rumble only as well. So, folks, we got our Ghana visitor. That clip is hilarious. We've got Jasmine Crockett being insane as usual. That'll be Rumble only. We're going to finish out the Facebook side here with Donald Trump promising some magnificent stuff here for all of the violent illegals that are choosing to stay in this country.
Alien gang members, and they will be put in jail or thrown out of our country until not a single one is left. And we're going to call it Operation Aurora, if you don't mind, okay? Because they were the first to come. And this is happening all over the country, by the way. If they come back, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. Because we don't want them to come back. They got to stay out. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer.
Oh, I got goosebumps. I voted for all of this, Jason.
How can any American, like we had some liberals on earlier on the Facebook, they'll never be over on the Rumble. How can any American not hear that and just tingles down your spine, Todd? Were you were all a tingle too?
I had goosebumps. My hair was standing up on my arms here. How are we, I always ask this question too. How are we even like deciding if this should be the law? How is this not already a law to begin with? You're a violent, illegal alien and you commit some of the worst harms on Americans. Yeah, this isn't even debatable. There is the electric chair. You can skip the due process, go right around to the jail cell there on the board, the game board. And that's it. That is it.
Well, and it's funny too, because I don't know who or what would ever find that to be a controversial statement. Like, why do these people not think that America, like, once again, it's the most amazing country ever. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Why wouldn't you like want to keep people out that don't share your values, that don't want to make this country great? Why do you just like you card people into Costco? Like you can't just walk in, but somehow America, they're okay with it. It's crazy. We should get out of here.
Upgrade to a real ID to fly on an airplane. but I can just make up a name and address and go vote?
Ugh, it's ridiculous. Well, let's shut down YouTube, Facebook, the other stuff. We'll take 60 seconds. We'll be back on the flip side. Still broadcasting on Rumble and Twitter X. If you haven't, download the little green app, Rumble. For those who don't know, Rumble's basically YouTube only with free speech. We get a little spicy over there. We have a lot of community over there. We love having our audience over there. You can support us on any of the platforms by like, comment, share. But like I say, I'm partial to Rumble, Todd, because even though it's not our most profitable platform we broadcast on, they believe in free speech, and we love them for that.
And that's where we have the most fun. So we are back in 60 seconds. Don't go anywhere. If you're on Facebook, again, head over to rumble.com, download the Rumble app. It's a green play button. Search out the American Tribune, and we will see you on the other side.